There comes a point in life when comfort becomes more dangerous than pain. Not because comfort feels bad, but because it feels good enough to keep you stuck. It makes you believe you still have time. It makes you think tomorrow will be different, even when you've done nothing today to earn a different future. It convinces you that you can delay the work, avoid the pressure, and still somehow become the person you dream about being. But that is a lie. And that lie has destroyed more potential than failure ever could. Because most people do not lose their life in one dramatic moment. They lose it slowly, one excuse at a time, one distraction at a time, one weak decision at a time, one comfortable habit at a time, until one day they wake up and realize they never became who they promised themselves they would be. That is the real pain, not discipline, not sacrifice, not struggle. The real pain is regret, the pain of knowing you had more in you, the pain of knowing you could become stronger, sharper, greater, but you kept choosing what was easy. And if you want to escape that fate, you need to understand one truth. If you want to lead later, you must be willing to suffer now, because leadership is not built in comfort. It is built in pressure. It is built in the moments where your body says stop, but your mind says keep going. It is built in mornings when you are tired but still rise. It is built in the days where motivation is gone, results are invisible, and nobody is there to cheer you on. That is where leaders are born, not in applause, not in attention, not when life is easy. Leaders are built in silence, in the dark, in discipline, in pain, in the lonely process of becoming someone stronger than the version of you that exists today. And that process is not pretty. It will stretch you. It will expose you. It will force you to confront every excuse, every weakness, every lie you have been telling yourself. Because suffering has a way of revealing the truth. It shows you who you really are when things get hard. Anybody can talk when life is smooth. Anybody can feel confident when nothing is testing them. Anybody can say they're committed when they feel inspired. But pressure changes everything. Pressure reveals character. Pressure reveals discipline. Pressure reveals whether you are truly built for the life you claim to want. And this is why so many people stay average. Because average people love the idea of greatness, but they hate the process required to earn it. They want confidence without insecurity. They want strength without struggle. They want results without repetition. They want respect without sacrifice. But life does not reward desire alone. Life rewards endurance. It rewards the people who can stay focused when everything in them wants to quit. It rewards the people who can keep showing up long after motivation disappears. It rewards the people who can carry pressure without collapsing under it. That is what leadership really is. Leadership is not a title. It is not status. It is not being loud. It is not posting quotes and pretending to be wise. Leadership is weight. It is the ability to stay calm when everyone else is panicking. It is the ability to stay disciplined when everyone else is emotional. It is the ability to move forward while others fall apart. And if you ever want to become that person, you must train for it now. That means embracing chosen suffering, not meaningless pain, not victimhood, not suffering that destroys you. Chosen suffering, the kind that builds you. The suffering of getting up early when your bed is warm. The suffering of training when your body feels heavy. The suffering of saying no to comfort so you can say yes to purpose. The suffering of staying consistent when no one is watching and nothing seems to be changing. That kind of pain is sacred because it is shaping you into someone who can carry more. And if you want a bigger life, you must become a stronger person. A bigger dream requires bigger discipline. A bigger purpose requires bigger endurance. A bigger future requires a stronger mind. That is why pain matters. Because pain, when used correctly, becomes preparation. It becomes a fire that burns weakness out of you. It kills the lazy version, the distracted version, the emotional version, the excuse-making version, and in its place, it builds someone dangerous, someone focused, someone grounded, someone who no longer needs life to feel easy in order to keep going. That is power. Real power is not loud. It is calm under pressure. It is control under pain. It is consistency under stress. And the people who carry that kind of power are the ones who become dependable, the ones people trust, the ones people follow. The ones who can walk into chaos and still hold their ground. Why? Because they have already trained in difficult places. They have already fought battles within themselves that most people keep avoiding. They know what it means to endure. And endurance changes a person. It gives you self-respect. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you become stronger internally. Every time you do what is hard instead of what is easy, you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes confidence. Not fake confidence. Not social media confidence. Real confidence. The kind that comes from knowing, I can handle hard things. That is what suffering gives you when you stop running from it. It teaches you that pain is not always punishment. Sometimes pain is preparation. That rejection may be preparing you. That lonely season may be sharpening you. That failure may be waking you up. That pressure may be building the exact mindset you will need for the future you keep asking for. But only if you stop resisting it. Only if you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this building in me? That question changes everything. Because once you realize that pain can serve you, you stop fearing it. You stop seeing hard seasons as proof that life is against you. And you start seeing them for what they really are: training, preparation, construction. So if life feels heavy right now, good. If the path feels lonely, good. If the process feels brutal, good. Because maybe this is not your breakdown. Maybe this is your becoming. Maybe this is a chapter where weakness dies. Maybe this is a chapter where excuses end. Maybe this is a chapter where you stop living soft and start becoming someone worthy of the life you say you want. So suffer now. Train now. Sacrifice now. Discipline yourself now. Push now. Build now. Because if you can survive the season with your standards intact, if you can keep moving while comfort keeps calling your name, if you can master yourself while others keep choosing ease, then one day, when life gets hard for everyone else, you will not fold. You will not panic. You will not run. You will lead. Most people think leadership begins when others start noticing you. That's wrong. Leadership begins the moment you stop needing to be noticed, the moment you stop performing for approval, the moment you stop waiting for validation, the moment you stop needing someone to clap for your discipline before you commit to becoming better. That is where the real shift happens. Because as long as your actions depend on praise, you are still weak. As long as you need attention to stay consistent, you are still fragile. As long as you only work hard when people are watching, you are not building strength. You are building an image, and an image will never survive pressure. Only character survives pressure. That's why the work you do in private matters more than anything you show in public, because your private habits are creating your future, not your intentions, not your words, not your goals written down in some notebook. Your habits, what you do when no one is around, what you do when you are tired, what you do when life becomes inconvenient, what you do when nobody would know if you quit. That is what defines you. And this is the part that most people avoid. Because private discipline is brutal. It's easy to look motivated in front of others. It's easy to speak about greatness. It's easy to say you want to become more. But private discipline asks a harder question. Will you still do the work when there is no reward yet? Will you still show up when the results are invisible? Will you still train when your progress feels slow? Will you still stay loyal to the process when your emotions are telling you it's not worth it? That is where the war is won, not in dramatic moments, but in the ordinary moments where weakness tries to negotiate with your standards. And weakness is always negotiating. It tells you to sleep in. It tells you to start tomorrow. It tells you one bad habit doesn't matter. It tells you one missed day is no big deal. It tells you to wait until you feel more ready, more motivated, more confident. But weakness never tells the truth, because weakness wants comfort, not growth. It wants relief, not responsibility. And if you keep listening to it, it will steal your future while making you feel temporarily safe. That is the danger of comfort. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It seduces you slowly. It gives you small excuses that feel harmless, small delays that feel reasonable, small compromises that feel justified. And those small compromises eventually become your identity. That's how people lose years of their life. not because they were incapable, but because they became too comfortable with lowering the standard. And once you lower the standard, everything starts to collapse. Your discipline collapses. Your confidence collapses. Your self-respect collapses. Because deep down, you always know when you are betraying your potential. You can lie to other people. You can pretend you're just figuring things out. You can make excuses that sound intelligent. But internally, you know when you're wasting your life. You know when you're hiding from the work. You know when you're choosing comfort over becoming. And that internal knowing creates frustration. That frustration turns into guilt. That guilt turns into self-doubt. And that self-doubt slowly poisons the way you see yourself. That is why discipline is not just about success. Discipline is about identity. It is about becoming someone you can respect. Someone who keeps their word. Someone who does what needs to be done. Someone who does not crumble every time life gets hard. Because once you become that person, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your posture changes. Your presence changes. People can feel it, not because you are trying to look strong, but because real strength carries itself differently. It is quieter, more grounded, more dangerous. It does not need to prove itself every 5 minutes. That is what suffering gives you when you use it correctly. It gives you substance, and substance is rare in a world full of performance. Today, too many people want the appearance of discipline without the reality of it. They want to look focused, sound wise, and appear powerful. But when pressure comes, the truth shows up because pressure doesn't care about your image. Pressure only reveals what has actually been built inside you. That's why your current struggles matter so much. Because right now, life may be giving you an opportunity to build what cannot be faked. Patience, endurance, focus, self-control, emotional stability. These are not things you develop in comfort. These are developed in friction. When life does not go your way, when things take longer than expected, when you feel overlooked, underestimated, exhausted, and tempted to quit, that is when the deeper work begins. That is when life stops asking, "What do you want?" and starts asking, "What are you willing to endure for it?" That question separates dreamers from builders, because everybody wants a better life, but not everybody is willing to become a better person. Everybody wants results, but not everybody wants routine. Everybody wants confidence, but not everybody wants correction. Everybody wants to lead, but not everybody wants to be forged. And that is why so many people stay stuck. They are addicted to the fantasy of a better future, but allergic to the pain required to create it. Don't be one of them. Do not spend your life consuming motivation while avoiding transformation. Do not become someone who is inspired for one day and weak for the next 6. That cycle has to end. You need something deeper than motivation. You need standards, because motivation fades, but standards stay. And if you hold that standard long enough, eventually it stops feeling forced. It becomes who you are. That is when discipline becomes identity. That is when suffering starts turning into strength. That is when the hard things that once broke you begin to build you. So if you're going to suffer, let it build something. Let it build your patience. Let it build your focus. Let it build your resilience. Let it build your self-respect. Because one day, someone is going to need the strength you are building right now. So build your roots now. Build them through pain. Build them through consistency. Build them through self-control. Build them through the kind of private discipline that nobody sees, but everybody will feel later. Because later, when pressure comes, you will not collapse. You will not fold. You will not run. You will lead. There's a version of you that your current habits will never allow you to meet. A version stronger than your excuses, sharper than your fears, more disciplined than your emotions, more dangerous than your distractions. But that version of you does not appear by accident. It is built through repetition, built through pain, built through the decisions you make when no one is forcing you to do the right thing. That is the part people underestimate. They think transformation happens in one big moment, one powerful speech, one emotional breakthrough, one perfect morning where everything suddenly changes. But that is not how real change works. Real change is quieter than that. It happens in the small choices nobody respects enough. The choice to wake up when you said you would. The choice to work when your feelings tell you not to. The choice to stay disciplined when no one would blame you for being weak. Those small moments decide everything, because your life is not built by one giant decision. It is built by repeated behavior. What you do daily becomes who you become permanently. And if your daily behavior is weak, your future will be weak too. That is why discipline matters so much. Because discipline is not just a habit. It is self-respect in action. It is the proof that your future means more to you than your current comfort. And that is a rare mindset. Most people betray their future every single day. They say they want more, but live in a way that guarantees less. They say they want discipline, but keep feeding distraction. They say they want greatness, but keep choosing ease. They say they want to lead, but they cannot even lead themselves. That is the truth nobody wants to hear. Before you can lead others, you must become someone who can command your own mind, your own impulses, your own moods, your own laziness, your own desire to quit when things stop feeling exciting. That is the first battle. And if you lose there, nothing else matters. Because the hardest person you will ever have to lead is yourself. Not because you are broken, not because you are incapable, but because your lower self is always looking for the easy exit. It wants comfort now and consequences later. It wants relief instead of growth. It wants pleasure instead of progress. It wants shortcuts instead of standards. And if you do not learn how to fight that part of yourself, it will quietly sabotage every goal you have. That is why suffering is necessary. Suffering interrupts weakness. It exposes the parts of you that still need discipline. It shows you where your standards are fake. It reveals how much of your life is still being controlled by comfort, and that truth can hurt. But truth is better than illusion, because illusion keeps you average. Truth gives you a chance to change. That is why difficult seasons are often the most valuable. They force honesty. When life gets hard, you can no longer hide behind your image. Your routines are tested. Your focus is tested. Your emotional control is tested. And in those moments, you find out whether your foundation is real. That matters, because one day, your life will demand more from you than your current self can handle. More pressure, more responsibility, more sacrifice, more decisions, more people depending on you. And when that day comes, you will not rise to your intentions. You will fall to your level of training. That is why what you are doing right now is so important. Every time you stay disciplined, you are training for a future moment. Every time you resist weakness, you are becoming harder to break. Every time you choose long-term purpose over short-term comfort, you are preparing to carry more. That is leadership being built in real time, not with speeches, with standards. And standards require suffering, because standards force you to do what is necessary, not what is convenient. They force you to stay locked in when distractions are pulling at you. They force you to stay consistent when the results are delayed. They force you to keep going when the emotional version of you wants to stop. That is not easy. But easy never built anyone worth remembering. The people who leave a mark on this world are not the people who avoided discomfort. They are the people who learned how to weaponize it. They took rejection and turned it into fuel. They took loneliness and turned it into focus. They took pain and turned it into power. That is the mindset you need. Not, why is this happening to me? But, how can this build me? How can this pain sharpen me? How can this pressure strengthen me? How can this season make me more disciplined, more focused, more prepared? That question changes everything. Because the moment suffering becomes useful, it stops feeling pointless. You begin to understand that not every hard season is there to destroy you. Some seasons are there to strip you, to strip your ego, to strip your laziness, to strip your dependency on motivation, to strip the weak habits that have been keeping you small. And once those things are stripped away, something stronger can finally be built. That is the hidden gift of suffering. It removes what comfort was protecting. And what comfort protects is usually the very thing holding you back. That is why you cannot keep asking for a softer life. A softer life will not build a stronger you. You need resistance. You need challenge. You need friction. You need moments that force you to rise above the old version of yourself. That is where growth lives. not in safety, in struggle. So if this season feels hard, don't waste it. If your life feels heavy, don't escape it. If your path feels lonely, don't fear it. Use it. Use this season to become harder. Use this chapter to become more disciplined. Use this pain to build standards that weakness can no longer negotiate with. Because one day, all of this will matter. One day, the pressure that is breaking other people will not break you. One day, the chaos that makes others panic will not move you. One day, the responsibility that crushes weaker minds will sit on your shoulders, and you will carry it with control. Why? Because you trained here. You built yourself here. You suffered here. And because you are willing to suffer now, you will be strong enough to lead later. Everything you've been building is leading to this. Not the applause, not the recognition, not the moment everyone notices your strength, but the moment you finally become someone who doesn't need notice to act. Because that is what leadership really is. It is showing up even when no one is watching. It is doing what is necessary even when it is uncomfortable. It is staying disciplined when results are invisible. It is keeping your standards high when the world is inviting you to settle. That is how leaders are made. Not from talent alone, not from luck, not from the ease of life handing them opportunity. Leaders are forged in the fire of consistent action under pressure. Every early morning, every late night, every repetition, every choice you made to resist comfort. It all adds up. It compounds quietly until one day it shows itself. And when it shows in how you carry yourself. Calm under pressure, focused under chaos, decisive under uncertainty, strong when everyone else feels weak. That is a reward of suffering now. Because suffering today builds strength tomorrow. It builds confidence that doesn't depend on circumstances. It builds patience that doesn't collapse when results are slow. It builds resilience that doesn't break when life pushes harder than you imagined. And make no mistake, life will push harder than you imagined. It will demand more from you than you feel ready for. It will test every standard, every principle, every limit you have. It will tempt you to quit. It will try to make excuses feel easier than action. And if you have not trained yourself in these small, private battles, you will fail. You will crumble under pressure. You will regret all the shortcuts you took. You will realize too late that comfort delayed your becoming. But if you have suffered now, if you have endured when it was inconvenient, if you have mastered the private discipline that nobody sees, then you will survive. Then you will thrive. Then you will lead. Because the world does not respect excuses. The world does not reward hesitation. The world does not give power to the unprepared. The world gives power to those who can handle it. And strength is not given. Strength is built, brick by brick, repetition by repetition, choice by choice, moment by moment. That is why every struggle matters. Every failure matters. Every moment where you resist the easy path matters. You are building something invisible now, but will become undeniable. You are building endurance. You are building focus. You are building mental toughness. You are building self-respect. You are building the ability to lead yourself and eventually others. Leadership always begins with self-mastery, because a person who cannot lead themselves will never be able to lead anything else. If you allow fear to control you, you will remain stuck. If you allow comfort to dominate, you will remain small. If you avoid pain, you will never grow into the person capable of handling responsibility. So embrace the suffering. Embrace the discomfort. Embrace the lonely mornings, the grueling effort, the invisible work that nobody applauds. Because every ounce of struggle is shaping you into someone who can carry more. Someone who can endure what others cannot. Someone who can decide when others panic. Someone who can act when others hesitate. Someone who can lead when everyone else is lost. And when that day comes, when you're called to step up, it will not be your talent that carries you. It will not be your luck. It will not be the applause you chased. It will be your preparation, your habits, your discipline, your endurance, your suffering turned into strength. That is the ultimate reward of leading yourself. You become unstoppable. You become unshakable. You become dependable. You become a person others can trust in crisis. You become the one who takes responsibility when everyone else runs. And that is leadership at its purest form. Not a title, not recognition, not approval, but control, strength, discipline, reliability. Everything you do now is preparing you for that moment. Every hard choice, every moment of private discipline, every time you resist weakness, it is all an investment that compounds into power, an investment that compounds into freedom, an investment that compounds into influence. And influence is the ultimate result of leadership, not control over others, not manipulation, not attention, but the ability to make impact, the ability to protect, the ability to guide, the ability to create a future for yourself and those who depend on you. That is why you suffer now. That is why you train. That is why you endure. Because the comfort you have today is a trap. The pain you feel today is a gift. The struggle you fight today is the seed of your future strength. So do not run from it. Do not complain about it. Do not resent it. Use it. Use this season. Use this pressure. Use this hardship. Become someone worthy of the life you want. Become someone capable of leading when it matters most. Because one day, the world will demand it from you. One day, responsibility will sit on your shoulders. One day, people will look to you for strength. And when that day comes, you will not hesitate. You will not falter. You will not quit. Because you suffered when no one was watching. Because you trained when it was hard. Because you became stronger in private. And because of that, you will lead.